Hello, welcome to Chapter 2, Homework Questions 85 through 89. Question 85. Birdie is the Shape Factory's top employee. She has received awards every month for having the top sales figure so far for the year. If she stays on top, she will receive a $5,000 bonus for excellence. She currently has sold 16,250 shapes and continues to sell 340 per month. Since there are 8 months left in the sales year, Sarita is working hard to catch up. While she has only sold 8,830 shapes, she is working overtime and on weekends so that she can sell 1,082 per month. Will Sarita catch up with Birdie before the end of the sales year? If so, when? So let's go ahead and look at what information we have for Birdie. She currently has sold 16,250 shapes. So that will represent our y-intercept. That's initially where she starts, and she is earning 340, or she's selling 340 shapes per month. So this represents the rate of change, or slope. Therefore, our equation for Birdie would be y equals 340 times x plus the 16,250 that she has already currently sold. Whereas Sarita, she's working hard. She is a little bit behind on her current number of sales at 8,830 shapes. But she's working extra hard and some overtimes and weekends to sell more per month, and she is selling 1,082 shapes per month. So a lot more than Birdie, but is definitely behind to start off. And we want to know, well, will she catch up by the end of the sales year, which it says there are 8 months left. So if we're trying to figure out where they're going to, be, I got to write the equation, sorry, for Sarita. Let's go ahead. Y equals 1,082x plus the 8,830 that she starts with. And so since we want to figure out when they're going to be the same, or at least when, she's going to catch up, then we can use systems of equations to solve. And so right now we have y equals this for Birdie and y equals this for Sarita. So we can use the equal value method, set those two expressions equal to each other, and we will solve for x. And that will allow us to figure out the number of months it will take to catch up. So 1,080, maybe 1,082 x plus 8,830, and then we'll solve for x. Now, one thing maybe we should have done a little bit earlier is to identify what x is equal to, and x is equal to the number of months, and then y would be equal to the total number of shapes sold. So back to the equation, let's go ahead and subtract 340x from both sides, and that will leave us with 16,250 is equal to 742x plus 8,830, and then now we can subtract that to the other side, and when we subtract that, we will get 7,420, and that's equal to 742x, and then we can divide by 742, and you can see that that's going to represent x equals 10. So that was the number of months that it would take for Sarita and Birdie to have the same amount of shapes sold. So will Sarita catch up to her in 8 months? And the answer to that is no, because she's going to need 10 months to be able to catch up. And don't forget, after all that work that you did, make sure that you do answer the question that no, Sarita will not catch up because it's going to take her 10 months before she could catch up to Birdie. Question 86, calculate the area of the shaded region below. So if you look at the shaded region below, we have part of a rectangle and then also a triangle here. You can look at the triangle height as being 17 and it looks like it's measured in inches. And so then we also could figure out the area of the rectangle. So we can take the area of the rectangle and subtract the area of the non-shaded triangle. And then that will give us the shaded region. And then that will give us the shaded area. So the area of the rectangle is 17 times 8 minus the area of the non-shaded triangle would be 1/2 base times the height of 17. And then that should give us our answer as to what the shaded region would be. And so with the calculations, we get 68 inches squared as a shaded area. The other thing we could have done is that the shaded region is half the area of the rectangle, so we could have just taken the 17 times 8 and taken half of that, and that would have also represented the shaded region. Question 87. How tall are you? How do you measure your height? Consider these questions as you answer the questions below. Why do you stand up straight to measure your height? So the answer to that question is, well, if you're not standing up straight, then your height has actually changed, and then you wouldn't be able to measure everyone the same way. So you have to stand up straight so that everyone is measured in the same way. It gives you a true measurement of your height. Part B, which diagram best represents how you would measure your height and why? Diagram 1, because once again, look at the difference in terms of how he's holding the measuring tape, as this one's going at an angle, whereas the first diagram is going straight down, which is how we measure the height of somebody in terms of how tall they are. Otherwise, this is going to give you a false measurement because it's going to look like he's this tall, and if you straighten that out, it's going to be way taller than he is. And then on part C, when you measure your height, do you measure up to your chin, down to your knees? And the answer to either one of those is no. You measure from the very bottom of your feet, or where the floor is at, to the top of your head. Kind of how I marked right here. And that is it for 87. 88. Read the math notes box for this lesson. Then rewrite each of the following statements as conditional statements. So on part A, Mr. Spelling is always unhappy when it rains. So for part A, it would be if it rains, Mr. Spelling is unhappy. For part B, the sum of two even numbers is always even. So if you add two even numbers together, then the result is even. Part C, Marla has a piano lesson every Tuesday. If it is Tuesday, then Marla has a piano lesson. And so once again, make sure you go back and read your math notes box from this lesson, and it'll kind of go into a little bit more detail. But conditional statements are if-then statements, so just making sure you're changing these statements into if-then statements. Question 89, simplify the following expressions. So it looks like we're just doing a couple different things here. On the first one, we're just combining our like terms. So that'll give us 8x plus 13. And that's all we need to do on that one. On the second one, we do have a distributive property. 15 plus 3 times 2x is 6x. And don't forget to distribute it to everything inside there. So that'd be a minus 12 and then a minus 4x. Combine your like terms, 2x plus 3. When you're writing these expressions, try to make sure that you are putting them in standard form, which means the highest exponent always goes first, and then the last thing should be your constant. On part C, we just did some of these earlier with using the area model to multiply binomials. So I'm just going to use the shortened version of that without doing the area model, but we get 3x squared plus 4x minus 9x minus 12. And then I can combine my like terms and get 3x squared minus 5x minus 12. And once again, you can see how I put that in standard form. And then on part D, we have distributive property twice. 10x squared plus 35x plus 3x squared minus 5x. Combine our like terms, put the x squared first, so that's 13x squared plus 30x. And that is it for question 89.